to Specialty Chef Marty Unfolded, the podcast. I just put that in there. Don't know why I said it, but it makes a lot of sense. I just wanted to go ahead and let everyone know what's going on and how everything is. And I think everyone that tuned in, that downloaded that my live podcast with my boy Frankie Hovers of the world famous Flying Junkies. That was an awesome time. We had a great time. I just wanted to just let everyone know who tuned in, downloaded, gave me some comments on it. I do appreciate it. I thank you, Frank, for doing that for me again. That was a beautiful day. And I just want to go ahead and just give that thanks to everyone that helps out Specialty Chef Marty Unfolded, just to help this podcast reach everyone and anyone that can value the information that comes from this podcast. So that's what I'm building on, and I love it, and this is how it's going to be. All right. Now, remember back in the day. I'm going back too far. I'm going back too far. Wait. All right. Now, the main topic of today is, and I'm still doing my little series on all the meats that come into our markets and stuff like that. This one is about beef. And the reason why I'm doing beef is because beef was one of those things that was not so much a what happened back in the day, like I want to say, but I'll get into it. But back in history, beef was not all about what beef is today. So that's what we're going to. That's what the history I'm going to be touching on. It's not a long thing. I'm not being, like I'm just throwing some information out there because I am a cook and I am interested in all these things. So I want to bring them all to you so you have all the information, like I always say. So beef, cattle, you know, and stuff like that. That's what inspires us to make like uh, T-bone steaks, porterhouse. If you're getting, if you're gonna get a little bit of salivary glands getting a little bit juicy, go ahead and get that napkin and tap your bottom lip because I'm gonna say a few more things. Rib eyes, skirt steaks, beef tips, burn ends, beef ribs, beef brisket. I cannot say any more than those few that beef just brings to us that we look forward to on special occasions, cookouts, barbecues, whatever, get togethers. Those are some of the things that are on the grill besides, the other things like, chicken and pork and things like that. But I wanted to go ahead and touch on beef because beef is one of those things that we do go out to a special restaurant and have those things. Now, another thing about beef is when you grind it all up, put a little bit of fat in it, what do you get? You get burger. You get ground up chuck, which makes hamburgers. You can make Salisbury steaks. You can make meat sauce, meatballs, whatever you want. I mean, it's beef is just that kind of commodity. So I just want to go ahead and touch in that as well. But I want to also take you guys back in history of my history, not me growing up, because I was born in the '60s. So I did see a lot of things come and go, come and then drift away and stuff like that. So remember, and I know some of the young folks won't remember, but I know people on my age, like in I want to say mid 40s and higher. I know you guys are gonna remember this. All right, remember back in the day, McDonald's, the Big Mac, wore a T-shirt that had the Big Mac, on the ingredients on how the Big Mac was built. Imagine, and I think I still know it. I think it's like this. Two all beef patties, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions on a sesame seed bun. That was on the shirt. So believe me, it was one of those things that you just remembered because it was said and it was challenged to you when you were a kid still. So I but I was just, I'll just take you guys back just a little bit, just to, just remember what things are and how beef came around and how we enjoy hamburgers for cookouts and hamburgers on special occasions just to have with your fries, chips, whatever you like to have with a burger. But remember, I want to take you one more. One more. This is a famous commercial. One more. This old lady took Wendy's to the roof, to the sky, put him in orbit. This old lady, all she did was say a few words. She said, "Where's the beef?" That caught on so hard that, that it was everyone said it. Where's the beef? Where's the beef? And it was a little old lady just, just innocently saying, "Where's the beef?" But that was one of those things that, that took that restaurant and took McDonald's into orbit as well, with other things that they have done as well. But those are some of the calluses, or some of the, well, not some of the. That was one of the main things that put those restaurants in orbit was a hamburger, and that came from beef, which comes from cattle. All right, and now I just want to go ahead, and I'm not gonna wear you guys ear out or anything like that. Just want to go ahead and just touch on it real quick. And I did my research. I always do my research. So you know that everything I'm telling you, you can research it yourself, but you're not just having a person tell you what's going on and taking his word for it. Do your research. I did my research. I'm just bringing like a little snapshots of throughout history of what beef or what cattle is all about and how we have what we have today and what we did to bring those things to the market today. All right. So we're gonna go back just a little bit back, like I always do. I always go back to the prehistoric times because that's some of the things that we have researched and we have documentation on because we did have uh, men, women, or humans back in those times that put things on the walls. I mean, put graphics on the walls like Egyptians and stuff like that, because that was their way of drawing things that happened in those era in that era. And just like we do by putting things on paper, putting things on computer now and stuff like that. So I'm looking around and I'm seeing these things and I'm watching it and I'm reading and I'm reading and I'm like, okay, now I was reading a little bit because it was the first cattle that was on Earth was called the uh, I. It's called a IROC or Wabak or Rabak. I think it's Wabak. It's spelled Auroch, but when I looked it up, it was pronounced AWOR. I mean AWROK. So it's like I guess it's Walrock. It sounds like Walrus, but it sounds like it's like Woolrock. Okay, so we got that out the way. So I was kind of struggling with that word. So what throughout history, those were the first cattle that was on Earth. That is a descendant of cattle today, like domesticated cattle, bison, stuff like that. Those are like that. That was the ancestor. This thing was huge when I looked it up. It weighed tons. It looked like it was something that you didn't mess with. It was hairy. It was in us today. Us as humans that had to eat. We've developed a way of rustling this thing down and actually uh, doing what we need to do to feed our families because the the size and the sheer girth of that animal could probably feed a village for a winter and most of the spring and mostly in the summer or something like that. It was a very big mammoth of a of a of a of a cow, if you want to say, or a bull or whatever. They had huge horns, and it was like it made you say the word and probably did the do in your pants. I don't know, I don't know, but it was established and it was early research back in about 18,000 BC. No, I'm sorry, 8,000 BC. I'm sorry, it's early eight. I'm reading a few other things. I'm sorry, but it was early as 8,000 BC when the domesticated animals were really known to us as we're going to use them as plowing, pulling carts, heavy stuff that we needed to pull. It's besides horses, like because those they're resilient. I mean, they're strong, and stuff like that. So I'm talking about 1,000 pound, thousands pound animal, stuff like that. And it's funny how um, this animal came around. It started in Europe, and it had two forms of this animal, of this cattle. It was called the Bos taurus, and the in South Asia and Africa it was called the Bos or the Bos Induscus or Indicus. Bos Indicus, I guess that's what you would say. And I noticed that throughout my research for all of these things that I researched, I noticed that Asia and Europe and India and places like that, it seems like they were a a traffic port, throughout the seas. You know what I'm saying? That these are things where you traded goods and got goods and stuff like that. So it was kind of amazing how throughout my research, how all of these countries were always involved with trading and getting goods to one place to another and stuff like that. It's amazing. So the Spanish, now thanks to Christopher Columbus, he came and he introduced uh, Americans and Mexicans to to cattle, which is the bull, which is what we have today. I'm going to start just calling cattle because that's what it is. It's not just one cow; it's cattle. So I'm just going to say cattle. And that was that he brought that to Americans and in Mexico uh, in 1493, and that was amazing on what he did as well. So it was like a trend that he has done, and it continued throughout the throughout certain trades and traders the Portuguese traders uh, and places like that. So in 1611, the English brought numbers, like numerous numbers of cattle to Americans, and it was introduced to the Jamestown colony, and it seemed like the eastern part of America was always that that part where everything came to. I guess that's why New York is where it is, and places like that. That that's where all the shipping ports were, the bigger shipping ports, if you want to say, and it was spread it out throughout the country over time. So that was kind of interesting as well. That how we as a country, uh, how we raised, how we brung on our we imported and exported through the eastern part of the country. like New York and New England, stuff like that. So when it was colonized, they used to use cattle to do a lot of things throughout the culinary to throughout the Revolutionary Wars, stuff like that. So they were strong. They were out. They were moving things and stuff like that, and they were able to use them as a tool as before they started even before they even started considering on uh, using the cattle for food. So they did a lot of things with the cattle though. They didn't slaughter them or anything like that at the time, but when they did start doing it, they started noticing that they used to get a lot of things from cattle as well. Not so much, using them as building blocks and stuff like that, but they used it for milk and butter, and used it for their hides and and drafting and stuff like that. So they used it for a lot of things other than what they were using them before. So then they started saying, "Hey, all right, this is this animal consumable?" Which it was, which evidently it was. So that's when they started using wild game and started introducing a lot of different other animals besides cattle to for meat to be consumed, because meat is protein and it does help us, as well as it helps the population a little bit as well, so they don't over uh so these things don't get overwhelming and then push us out and stuff like that, because we are the dominant species on this earth at this time. And I noticed that things that are brought to us, we under the right guidance, we do have a lot of people that do the right thing with what we have, and use it just not just for you know for sport. They use it for cultivating and for food and for helping us to understand that this is a commodity, and I mean, and this is what we need to protect. So um, we're going to just speed up here a little bit. I'm going to go up in and we're going to talk about the 19th century, how cattle came into play. Cattle came into play. It was traditional food crops. Hardy. It was for cultivating, and they was using cattle for a lot uh, of food for what back in that time, but the way they did it was not very sanitary, and was not really humane a little bit, if you want to say. Um, they were they were putting these cattle in like they, the word is like, I wouldn't call it slaughterhouses or something like that, but it was another word back in that day that was used to preserve the cow after it's been dispatched, and then it was cut up into different parts that we eat today, that we ask for today, like beef ribs and steaks, and we even go down as far as the stomach and the tongue and eyes, and whatever else, oxtail, and I mean, we kind of like eat from the snout to the tail, if you really want to say. And and a lot of things that how they went about doing it was not very sanitary, and it wasn't very humane, because how they did it was that they put a lot of these cows under a lot of distress, and they had them in slaughterhouses. They would feed them, but they didn't take them to the slaughterhouse yet. But they were amongst a lot of other cattle amongst themselves. They wasn't free to roam. They were just among like sardines, packed like sardines, if you want to say. And they fed them grains, and they fattened them up and stuff like that. But after a while, the meat was getting kind of like weird, if you want to say, because I guess when the meat is under distress, it pumps a lot more blood into the meat, so it makes the meat kind of rough and tough, or it's not very good. Even beat the crap out of it, or it still wouldn't be tender, you know. So what they have done and what Americans have done, and I do take that's why I'm saying that we have the right individuals that come around and they actually do what they need to do to go ahead and give us what we need and preserve what we have. Was that when we started using our cattle to really chomp down land that was not possible to cut down because we didn't have those type of things like weed eaters and stuff like that. We had animals like cattle and sheep and stuff like that that roamed the pastures that ate the grass that helped us that helped the cattle be not under distress. They're in an environment that they can free to roam and they can do whatever they want to do. But what's great about cattle and sheep is that they have like almost a human instinct about them because at nighttime, if you ever, I stay in Florida, and Florida is one of the biggest cattle um, uh, cattle. I guess people that own cattle here, they own a lot of cattle down here. I don't know the word for it, but they do associate and they do congregate together at night. You don't ever see any cows just roaming by themselves out in the dark. They're all together. It's just weird how that happens. But that was just some one thing that I passed out when I was just through my travels. Like, wow, look at these cows. They're all gathered together. They have one bull and all the rest of them with the cow, the cows and the calves and stuff like that. It was just weird how that happened. But I just wanted to go ahead and throw that little tidbit out there to you because it is like a social thing that they do have. So they used to do a lot of cattle drives, and the word I was looking for it was not slaughterhouses or anything like that. It was called feed plots, and then we just congregate all of these cattle together and just fatten them up and just let them eat and eat and eat and eat until it was time for slaughter, and then they refrigerated and shipping cars and stuff like that, and they shipped a lot of cattle, live cattle, to shipping cars as well to different parts of the country at that time. And the furthest part that comes to mind is um, Chicago, because Chicago was one of the uh, depots that the trade did go through, and they had stockyards and they had slaughterhouses up in Chicago as well. And what kind of blew my head is and it was like, wow, this is crazy. I know we with our sports teams we do have a lot of teams that's named after animals and stuff like that, and it was crazy. But the Chicago Bulls, that's how Chicago Bulls had got their name because of the cattle in the slaughterhouses that were in Chicago. So it was just one of those things that was impressive because they even had assembly lines for slaughtering to break the cattle down, and it was like an assembly line like at the Ford Model T plant. That's how organized it was to bring this this meat that we love to our tables and our groceries and stuff like that. How it just came about. It was just incredible how that happened. Um, and just I'm just going to touch on a few other things here, and I'm just going to wrap it up here. Um, we started being a lot more aware of what and how and the way we were processing this to all our meats. We have a system in place that regulates and makes sure that by law that our meats are not being poisonous or unsellable to us as a consumption. So what we have done is that we put less stress on our animals now because stress just makes the it's not good, and we started letting them be more free. because I stay in Florida and there's a lot of farms down here, cattle farms down here, and there's a lot of I see a lot of cattle that actually that they're pinned. They have this like I want to say 10 acres, 20 acres, or something like that, and they're free to roam and they can just do what they want to do. And I think that's one thing that we have prided ourselves on to make sure that we are doing the things that we need to do to keep this product just flourishing and just one of those things to keep us um, aware of what's going on. And today is just one of those things that we are lucky that we didn't have to just chase these meats down and chase what we need to feed our families and stuff like that, and always on the grind to bring food in the house. So, I mean, all we're doing is grinding to work, grinding to work to get a paycheck, so we can uh, keep a roof over our head, keep food in our refrigerator, keep food in our bellies and stuff like that. That's what we are do to. That's what we do today. We do other things like uh, we do other things like for those big animals or that big game. We hunt for sport, and so there is some competitions out there that's for hunting as well. So I give my hats off to all of those that do what they do and how they do things, and I just want to go ahead and touch base with what I felt that was informative, that was just something that needed to be heard, and something that I feel that I feel passionate about because I want to know where my stuff comes from. I want to know what I'm feeding my families, and when I bring my videos out for Specialty Chef uh, Cooking with Marty, I want to bring my when you see me and you hear my voice, even if you see my face, you know that I am the real deal and I'm not just fluffing you up. So that's why I always try to keep myself real and keep myself with my positivity in mind, and so I can bring my positivity and shine it on you so you can have a positive day. So I just want to bring one more thing here, and I always have a quote or something positive to say, just to give you a little bit of clarity in your life, and maybe this is just something that you heard today that will resonate with you and bring you up and make and dust yourself off and pick yourself up and move on forward. But I always stress and always say, um, always be kind to someone and always show someone that you know or what you have experienced. Show someone that can value your advice. But I want to go ahead and tell you this one little uh, positive thought that I picked up, and this is what it's all about. It's from Catherine Mansfield, and she was a New Zealand writer. She was born from 1888 to 1923. So I want you to know where it's coming from and who said it. All right, and this is about regret. Okay, I've been dealing with a lot of things with regret all last year, and it stopped me from doing my podcast for a little bit, and I just couldn't get my footing right and stuff like that. I just wanted to go ahead and bring it to you because I feel that I'm making headway, and I'm doing things right in my eyes that I can always say, hey, I know I did right, and I know I brought the information to you. So here's the quote or the positive thought. It says, regret is an appalling waste of energy. You can't build on it. It is good only for wallowing in it. So, if you have anything that's going in your life that you don't like or you're trying to change or you're trying to make things happen, sometimes you just gotta like, and being regrettable about anything, believe me, those things are like brick walls. If you don't got no rope to get over it, sometimes you just gotta walk around it, or dig through it, or find some other way. But never let it just beat you down and keep you down. All right? Because through my experience and me doing my cooking show as well as this podcast, there's a lot of things that will help, and there's a lot of things that will help you stay down. So you got to make a choice on if you want to stay up or do you want to stay down. It's entirely up to you. Do what you need to do. This is Specialty Chef Marty Unfolded, and I just wanted to bring my version to history on beef or history on cattle. Well, not on cattle, history on beef because we don't eat. I just wanted to go ahead and just give you all that information, but I just want to go ahead and wrap it up here. And I thank you so much for tuning in. Please subscribe. Please follow me. Please download my podcast. Positive comments, feedback helps me grow, and I just want to make everything that much easier for anyone that's trying to get the information that they need, or just something that will help them move forward on cooking, decision making, life, whatever. Because this show is not all about cooking, it's going to be a lot more. But right now, it's got to be about cooking because this is what I do, this is what I love, and this is what I'm coming to you about. And I want you just to resonate with me, show me some love, because I'm showing you all the love I can give you. All right? Talk to you soon. This is Marty, your host. Talk to you later.